So I am here with two Met Office winners. Would you like to introduce yourselves first of all?
Okay, I'm Wing, I'm 18 and I'm a front-end developer and designer.
I'm Luca. I'm a back-end developer, full-stack developer as well. I work in Node.js, and yeah,
And how old are you?
I'm 15.
You're 15, so I've got an 18-year-old and a 15-year-old, Wing and Luca. And like I said, you won a competition with the Met Office. And I suppose that's probably the best place to start. So could you tell me a little bit about that, please?
Okay, so for the London Design Festival 2015, the closing weekend part, the Met Office partnered with Young Wide State to create a hackathon for young people to use weather data to build something to solve a community challenge. So that's what we participated in.
We created an app called Puddle. The app encourages people to save rainwater, and we kind of gamified the whole idea. So we basically said, this is how much, you set a goal, and how much water are you going to collect in the next 24 hours, and how much do you currently have, and also you can go ahead and look back in time and how much you collected on a certain day. You have little data visualizations of how much you're collecting and different things like that.
Yeah, rainwater collection is so important in today's age because we witness drought, we witness water shortages across the world. California is a good example, but even here in England we've had hosepipe bans that we've witnessed. And so collecting rainwater when we can, because so much rainwater falls on our roofs and just goes down into the drain, wasted. We can use this water for gardening instead of having that water come out from our taps.
Yeah, it can save a lot of money as well. So, as well as all of the drought problems, just saving money is a big reason to collect your rainwater.
Brilliant. So you're 18 and you're 15 years old. How did you two meet?
It was in another hackathon organised by Young Rewide State's sister organisation, Rewide State. That hackathon was called National Hack for Government.
It's like a hackathon where you have government data and you have different types of government data, and you have to build some kind of app with it over a 24-hour period. Or was it 48 hours or 24 hours?
48 hours.
Yeah, 48 hours. We created an app called Revive, which helps people
target locations where they want to improve. They can mark it down on a map, write their comments, submit proposals, vote on locations which need to be improved, and give their feedback. Hopefully local councillors and politicians will take this feedback and hopefully improve the space for the community.
We must have done about 10 other hackathons since then, because he's a front-end developer and I'm back-end, it kind of fits together quite well. So we've been doing a lot of hacks together since then.
Brilliant. And is there plans for you two to set up any kind of company? Are you planning to work together in the future? Have you looked long term in this yet, or are you just enjoying?
We definitely have lots of ideas. I think we've got good ideas. We've started exploring them. I think the biggest challenge is because we're both doing other things full time. So obviously Luke is in school. I'm in education and training. So we don't really have that much time to put all our efforts into ideas that we have. But
we do have a couple ideas that we're working on. Young Wide State, as we were talking about, they host an event every year called the Festival of Code. We worked on an app there called Makeaway, which we are hoping to expand on and turn into something bigger than it currently is.
Fantastic. I noticed with the two main projects that you mentioned, they're both quite social endeavours. What motivates you to do that specifically? Why are you so focused on?
I mean, I'm personally, the reason why I code and make stuff is to solve real world problems. I actually had a time period for about a couple months where I made games, and I felt like I wasn't enjoying it as much, is because I knew I wasn't solving bigger problems. And the reason I code is not the technicalities of it. It's not that great, but it's the fact that you can actually solve really big problems with it that really interests me. So when we build stuff, we try to build stuff that can help other people.
Yeah, so I think I got my interest through art, I think. I used to like art. The problem with me for art is I never finish art. So that's where design comes in, because I felt like I was a perfectionist. I couldn't get art right because I was trying to make it right. So design is closer to being possible to make something right, and how we find what is right is through looking at problems, so social problems, things that we can actually fix. So yeah, I think that's where my drive came from.
Brilliant. Going back to Puddle,
Mm-hmm.
do you know if the Met Office are pushing it? Are they promoting it? Or is there any real world usage?
We're currently rebuilding the app from scratch because during the 24-hour period or 48-hour period that we had to build it.
Obviously, you write really bad code.
Yeah, it's really horrible. It's slow. It looks horrible. So we decided to rebuild the app from scratch, which from like a couple of weeks ago we had a little bit of a hiatus from the project, and then we looked back at it and we've kind of been rebuilding it from scratch. We're making the project open source, I think. Yeah, so anyone can contribute to the project. And we're trying to write as neat code as possible, so anyone can go ahead and look through it and have a look around and contribute if you want to. But yeah, when we finish, we have something that's usable and people can have a go at using, we'll definitely try and get the Met Office to help push it out.
Yeah, and definitely the Met Office is aware of its existence. Obviously, they hosted the hackathon, and why we're actually at Mozfest is because one of their people pushed for an invite for us to demo it in front of people.
Yes. So moving on to Mozfest, we're currently at Mozfest. It's the Sunday,
Yeah.
Remembrance Sunday, as it were. And you run a session today. Do you not?
Yeah. So there was a. Do you want to talk about that?
Sorry, there was a blank face from Rowan. I was like,
Yeah.
I got that wrong.
So we.
I don't know if you want to do it off the record, something like that, because the session was really last minute. So there was obviously planning in it. It was all set up, everything was prepared, but we didn't have enough people actually attending to run it properly. So yeah.
Yeah, we did have some stuff ready. It was unfortunate we couldn't really run it properly because we had only a couple of people turn up. But that's okay. We had a little go at spaghetti building and stuff.
Building towers and marshmallows and spaghetti.
Yeah.
That's where I found you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
just playing with spaghetti. I thought you just randomly picked it up, but it was actually part of your session.
Yeah,
okay.
that was supposed to be the icebreaker. But yeah, we didn't have enough people to actually run it properly.
But we have been really enjoying the weekend, and we've been attending sessions. We've attended the Internet of Things session, which we want to integrate with multiple projects. One is Makeaway, the other is Puddle
itself.
Because do you want to?
Yeah, so the Internet of Things is really interesting. For Puddle itself, we are thinking of using water sensors to obviously capture rainwater collection data, and we could use it for a multitude of things, controlling water systems like washing machines, toilets, taps, baths, showers, etc. And all of this comes into saving water. All this data can be put into a computer, and it can calculate how much water is being collected, how much water is going out, and really adjust systems so as much water and money can be saved.
Brilliant. Is this your first Mozfest?
It is.
Yeah.
It's crazy, right?
It's really great.
Were you at the plenary session this morning where they were talking about the Internet of Things?
No, unfortunately.
Both of our trains were really dodgy this morning, and so we couldn't get here till later. But after that we attended a session which is another ideation session, all about creating ideas and solving civic problems, which was really interesting. And we're going to actually be trying to make some solutions to the problems we've identified this afternoon, which will be fun.
Ideation.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? Well, I would guess idea generation.
Yes, yeah. It starts in generating as many ideas as possible, no matter how crazy they are, how seemingly impossible they are. We try and get as many ideas as possible, and then it comes down to filtering them afterwards. So we filter out what could work, and once we've got a bunch of ideas that we think are possible, we might sketch them out, start just exploring them in slightly more detail, and then it moves on to prototyping and actually building the product afterwards.
Our session that we were meant to do was actually going to be all based on ideation and getting kids to go ahead and try and make some of their own ideas, go through their own day and see what kind of problems they face on a day-to-day basis, and then look at solutions for those problems. That's kind of the process that we go through every hackathon. Whenever we're given a challenge, we're like, okay, how are we gonna face this challenge? We go ahead and explore different ideas around the challenge, and that's kind of how the little hacks are born.
Would you be interested in maybe writing up your ideation process for voice?
Yeah, sure.
Sure, yeah.
Brilliant,
Yeah,
cool.
sure.
I'll talk to you afterwards about that. I'm very conscious that I've kept you now for nearly 11 minutes, so I'll try and wrap up. Do you have any inspirations? Like, who inspire you to code and design? Role models.
I don't, to be honest.
I don't have a role model. I think what inspires me and what keeps me going is the community around it. The community is the most important thing, especially when we're talking about young people in programming and coding. If you have a community around it, you all support each other on different projects, and it's just like this kind of atmosphere is built, which you can actually see at Mozfest. You can see at different festivals that we're at, like the Festival of Code run by Young United State. But any hackathon we've been to, I think there's a really great atmosphere because of the community. So I think that's kind of my inspiration.
Mm-hmm, for role models, I think all of us are role models for each other. We all progress together on community. We help each other out with problems, and if one of us does something, learns something, it's shared with everyone. So that's what drives us.
Brilliant. You sound very much like open source people. So, obviously you can't reveal too much of your future plans, but are there plans to commercialize things, or are you going to try and go down the open source route?
Well, we are actually last night we were talking about projects that we wanted to start working on past the festival of Mozfest.
This is the GitHub thing.
Yeah, well, we were looking at different problems that we could probably solve in an open source way, but then also commercializing those in different ways whilst keeping it open source.
Yeah, there's lots of models already out there. So, referring back to the idea that we were actually talking about last night, just to give some context. Yesterday we were in a session called Mozilla Participation Tech Challenge, and that was really interesting because we were exploring how to get people more participated in projects, open source or community challenges, etc. And one of the challenges we discovered through ideating and discussion was that non-technical people have a difficult time contributing to open source projects. After all, issues are tracked with software that technical people use often and know how to use. So we had an idea to allow non-technical people to contribute to open source projects through selecting areas on a web page that they might want to improve, or selecting a feature or a problem, or finding bugs, and then using screenshots and comments, and our software will take all of that and then push it into a GitHub issue. So that is the gap between non-technical people giving their feedback to the technical people to fix.
Yeah.
And commercializing that, that's an idea, but open source is obviously always amazing to give something to the community for free and for other people to improve on it. So we definitely will most likely release code and software out for free, but I think the model that really works well is providing support or training or hosting. That's where the commercial aspect comes in.
But yeah, I think we're really dedicated to keeping our stuff open source as much as we can, because if we wanted something to be open source, it wouldn't be fair not to make our projects open source. So we do try to keep it open as possible, but also try to commercialize when we can.
Yeah, and I think if you it's back to that community thing. Open source is a community. A lot of code I use is open source. There's like loads of useful libraries, etc. All open source. You can just solve problems quickly, cleanly, and it's part of giving back
to the community. Yeah.
Thank you very much for talking to me today. How can people find you?
Twitter is the best way. Yeah.
Yeah.
At Code Luca for me. CODELUCA.
Yeah, and it's at Wing-Hou Chang for me. I'll probably spell it out. It's WINGHOUCHAN.
Thank you very much for talking to me
No
today.
problem.
Cheers.